Hey everyone, welcome back and thanks for tuning in. I'd like to pick off where I left off last time. I just want to touch a little bit on the origins of the universe because I am aware of a few fringe astrophysicists who are trying to debate the beginning. They're trying to do this by saying that nothing is what created the universe. So they're literally trying to describe how nothing created everything. But first, before I get into all that, I wanted to ask the agnostic audience or the atheistic audience, and I'd like you to be 100% intellectually honest with yourself. Not all of you, but for the ones who are a little condescending or closed-minded because you claim to be intellectuals and seem to think that you are people of extreme knowledge. Oh, I believe in science, but do you even know where your science comes from? Do you really consider yourself more intelligent than Isaac Newton or Lord Kelvin or Kepler or Pascal or Pasteur, Heisenberg, Copernicus, Galileo, Boyle, Faraday, Francis Bacon, Babbage, or Mendel? Because these are the very founders of modern science. Observable astronomy, physics, calculus, thermodynamics, quantum mechanics, genetics, biology. They created the tools that we use today to study the natural sciences. And the really cool thing about them is they're all Christians. So why is that? And I've had people say, oh, well, society shaped their beliefs. So you're telling me that the people who wrote and created the very foundations of modern science lacked the cognitive capacity and emotional intelligence to self-reflect? Or that they weren't smart enough to ask, does God really exist? And I usually ask these individuals very politely and encourage them to read their books and journals because most of them documented why they believed in a creator. And several of them were devout apologists. And it definitely wasn't the God of the gaps postulation either. And I'll address that in another segment. I just really wanted to get that out there because it blows my mind to see how arrogant some of these types of people are. And hopefully this will get some people thinking if they're listening to this and maybe ask themselves, why did those incredible minds believe in God? Anyway, I want to circle back to the origins. So let me start with the BGV Theorem. BGV are the initials of three scientists, Bohr, Guth, and Vilenkin, and it was written in 2003 and still holds true mathematically to this day. So 20 years later, and we're still talking about this stuff. And in the paper, the authors show that any universe which is on average expanding and has a timeline that cannot go infinitely into the past, it must have had a beginning when it started to expand. So since our universe is known to be expanding, this theorem seems to require that it had a beginning. So what are the facts about the origin of our universe? We can see the equations of general relativity suggest that the universe had an actual beginning of space, time, matter, and energy. The BGV theorem, along with the expansion of the universe, would require that this universe had an actual beginning of the expansion. There are other ideas about the origin of the universe, like those proposed by Lawrence Krauss or Sean Carroll, but they don't have any real scientific evidence to back them up. They are pure conjecture. However, they are respected scientists, and they've been writing papers and books trying to explain this idea that everything came from nothing. But I don't want to get too far off topic. I'm trying to tie this expansion to scripture, particularly to the book of Job.